It's impossible to deny. We live in a world dominated by evil. Natural disasters, disease, crime, war, it assaults us on all fronts. And in the midst of so much pain and suffering, you have to ask, where is God? Why would a loving God, a sovereign God who controls everything, allow evil to exist? Well, people have wrestled with that question for centuries. Atheists, meanwhile, use it to support their case. If God, the Creator, is good, they say, how could His creation be so fraught with evil? Now, those kind of questions often back believers into a corner, but they shouldn't, and you're about to learn why. Today, Pastor John MacArthur launches an important two-part series on why God allows evil to dominate His creation. And make no mistake, He does allow it. And the reasons why might just change the way you see the world.
What in the world makes us so embarrassed about the gospel? For I determined to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and Him crucified. Why did God allow evil in the world? You could frame the question a number of ways. If the Creator God is so good, why is there so much evil in the world? In fact, the reality of evil in the world is one of the favorite justifications of those who reject the God of the Bible. They're eager to ask those questions in a myriad of different ways. How can God be holy and allow His creation to be dominated by unholiness? How can God be perfectly righteous and ordain the presence of unrighteousness? There are a number of ways that this particular idea is effectively communicated. One is a syllogism, a series of logical steps, such as the biblical God is loving, the biblical God is all-knowing, the biblical God is all-powerful, yet massive evil exists in the world, therefore the biblical God does not exist. That is to say that whoever allows this evil cannot be loving, or cannot be holy, or cannot be all-powerful or all-knowing, and still allow evil. In the minds of many, this backs Christians up into an impossible corner. There are many who see this as putting us, I guess you could say, at 4th and 40 on our own 10-yard line. And our only option is to punt. And there are many Christians who would agree with that, and they would grab Deuteronomy 29:29, the secret things belong to the Lord, and punt that into the opposition's territory as far as they can. Is that the best we can do when pressed against our own theological end zone? Is to punt Deuteronomy 29:29? Isn't there anything better than that in the divine playbook? Isn't there some kind of long pass we can complete? Something that not only will allow us to escape from defeat, but guarantee victory? I believe there is. I believe that Scripture gives us an answer, and without hesitation we can know that answer, we can understand that answer, and we can find eminent satisfaction in that answer. And this opens up to our thinking a whole category of theological truth that goes under the name of theodicy. Theodicy, Theodicy, theodicy. It comes from two Greek words, theos, meaning God, and dike, which is the root of the words that mean righteousness or righteous or just or justice. A theodicy is an explanation of how God can be just or how God can be righteous. It is a defense of God's righteousness in the face of the presence of pervasive sin. And so I want to give you what I believe is a biblical theodicy, a biblical defense of why God, who is holy, who is loving, who is all-knowing, who is all-powerful, has allowed evil to dominate His creation. So I'm going to put together my own little series of logical points. Number one, evil exists. Evil exists. This is without serious argument. It is incontrovertible, unless you are a Christian science advocate. It was Mary Baker, Eddy, Patterson, Glover, Fry, she had a problem with men, who basically developed what is called Christian Science. The teaching of Christian Science is this: all evil is an illusion, all sickness is an illusion, and even death is an illusion. Christian Science is actually like grape nuts. You've ever had grape nuts? I don't know why they named them that. They're not grapes and they're not nuts. And Christian Science is neither Christian nor scientific. But it sounds impressive. The answer is not to play some ridiculous metaphysical game to say something doesn't exist that clearly does exist. Evil exists. It exists apparently, manifestly, massively, dominantly in our world. And there are a number of categories in which evil exists. Let me give you a few. There is natural evil. That is impersonal, external, physical, temporal evil in the form of diseases, disasters, catastrophes, the kinds of things that come from the physical world, the cursed creation, from tiny bacteria to tidal waves, from viruses to volcanoes. The whole natural world is blighted by bad things. Things that make you sick, things that injure you, things that kill you. And humans, since the fall, have lived at the mercy of the physical corruption. Secondly, there's moral evil. Moral evil is personal, as opposed to natural evil, which is impersonal. It is internal, it is spiritual. It is wickedness, sin, transgression, iniquity, whatever term you want to use for it. It is a bent, it is a disposition, it is an attitude, it is a course of thinking, speaking, and conduct which dominates the human race, so that, Scripture says, no one is good, not even one. Scripture says all the thoughts of the human heart are only evil continually. Scripture says that it is out of the heart that lust conceives and produces sin, and from that sin comes death. The Bible tells us that society is dominated by corruption. And it is not a disaster that kills us. A disaster may kill us, but if we miss all the disasters and all the diseases, we will still die because the wages of sin is death. The corruption comes to every human being. It impacts every life, every relationship. All of humanity is made up of sinners. No one is exempt, and all